could argue on Sunday's game that both the goals were given away through essentially unforced errors. Is that something that you're going to have to look at in terms of what comes next? You know, Hearts have obviously the bottom of the league, but would it be too much of a knee-jerk reaction to make changes on the basis of that?
I think it's always been our plan from the start of this campaign to utilise the full squad, depending on the outcome of the games. Certainly the City game was an absolute blow to us, and a real disappointment within the squad. And first and foremost, the errors that led towards the goal. That's something that's now on me. Going forward, in terms of we don't make the same mistakes, that we're better organised, and that I make sure that in my capacity as a coach and the staff, that we ensure that we identify why the mistakes were made. I think that's the big bit. Sure, everybody's human and there will be mistakes that's made, but I think with the way that we play and the style of play that we have, that if an individual's to get beat in any capacity, then that we have a shape and a structure that's going to deal with the second phase of that. But as for the game coming up, it was always going to be, it was always planned, it's always been prepared that we would utilise the squad, none more so than because of the intensity and the amount of volume of games that's going to be hitting us Wednesday, Sunday. So the squad's there. We've spoke about starters and finishers, and it may well be that some of the guys who have been doing the kind of finishing job may come in to become starters, and we flip it round about. So that's the scenario that we're in.
First thing first, I think we spoke a little bit about the walking wounded on Sunday, probably for both sides, and obviously from the outside looking in, Kirsten had a problem. Is there any problems injury-wise? Not so much resting them for Wednesday, but like long-term, is anything that's going to keep them out for a few weeks?
No, we've nothing. We've nothing that's going to hamper MD to the end of the campaign. So there's nothing serious in there that's going to rule any player out to the end of the season. I think it's important that we look towards the games that's coming up. We have a fit and healthy squad at Rangers here just now, so it's we'll definitely utilise the players in the next 7 games. The 7 games that are coming up are important to us. We're now in a different scenario where we're 6 points behind the league leaders, and we've got to find solutions as to try and finish as high up in this league as we can, and that's what we'll be doing. We'll be trying to maximise our strengths within the next 7 games and gain maximum points.
On that, there's been a lot of people sort of in and around other clubs and in and around this club who've written the title off already. Do you think that's a little bit premature with the fact that there's still the best part of 6-7 games left? Yeah,
there's 7 games to go, and football, there's no formula to it, so there may well be changes, there may be slip-ups. We don't know. Albeit that Glasgow City are in a strong position, and I think that they're there by merit. They've managed to accumulate the points. They've went about it in their style, their fashion. So they're sitting in a strong position. So I guess it's it'll be on them to ensure that they keep the points and they keep that lead that they have. But then there'll be, as we spoke about before, there's some good teams in the league, and there's some teams that will want to win, because I think what I've found in this league is that every game that you play throws up different problems, and you have to deal with that. So I guess it's going to be on the league leaders to ensure that they stay there and that they don't drop any points.
We talked a little bit last week about the challenge of 4 games in 11 days. The disappointment of Sunday, the fact that you played almost immediately, probably for the first time in the season, apart from the Celtic game maybe, is that potentially the benefit of playing that many games so fast? You can kind of get it out of your mind and concentrate on the next game without over-analysing too much?
I think as long as it's definitely on the players went out there on Sunday and they They were absolutely, they were great. I can't fault their attitude, their application, and how they went about the game. Sure, they made mistakes, but they're human. It's then on us as coaches, myself in particular, to ensure that they learn from that, and that I find the answers to why did we make the mistakes, and how are we going to correct that to develop those players into stronger characters that are going to be able to handle situations. For example, when we went 1-0 down, what was in the players' heads? How did they feel? And that's on me. And that's what we'll be doing. We'll be ensuring that they learn from that and that they develop and they become a stronger group. Certainly never dunted our enthusiasm levels. We've came back in from the game. We know the task that's at hand, that's ahead of us, albeit that the task now changed. But we've already scenario planned for that. What ifs, we call it what ifs. What if we were in a situation where we were 6 points ahead? How would we approach the game? It's certainly going to be difficult now in terms of that we're actually 6 points adrift from City, and we now have to put in place what we planned earlier on to try and finish as high up this league as we can.
Malky, you mentioned in your post-match interview that rather than wait till Monday or Tuesday to have the talk with the players, you had it immediately after the game. Was that a full and frank discussion?
No, it was more about me. As I said there just now, my job is to understand the players and to develop the players, to make them individually stronger, to make them collectively stronger. And with my experience in the game, I thought it was right to strike while the iron's hot, because moving forward at Rangers, we've got to ensure that players are equipped to be able to handle playing with a big club. There's big pressures. There's no big pressures. There's different pressures playing with Rangers. So as part of their development, I wanted to find out exactly how they felt in the moment, and then assess that on the Monday when we came back in, and put a plan in place to try and not just fix it, but to try and understand how the players felt, so that my approach to them when they came back to training, they knew that everything was going to be in a level where that when we came back to training, that we were ready to go again, and we certainly were. Come Monday, they were great when we came back in. But as for, there was no, I think those days have gone, Alan, where it's the shouting and bawling and that kind of stuff. That's not what we're about here. We're about developing players. We're about understanding players. And it was more to gain an understanding of where we were at and why we lost the game, and why we never got back into the game.
You were quite rightly last Friday, Malky, talking about Rangers' great defensive record, for only 4 goals conceded up until that point. But yet in the 2 games since the restart against Celtic and Glasgow City, you've lost 3 goals which have frankly been catalogues of errors. How do you explain that? Yes,
well that was part of the reason we had the chat. So my job, it's on me to find out why that happened, and it's not a case of football's no tangible, so it's not an easy thing that you can find the answer straight away. It takes time and effort, and it takes the process that we'll go through. But in saying that, it is individual errors, and we've got to understand that we're all human beings and people make mistakes in life. So football's no different to that. So it's really 100% on me as a coach, because that's what Rangers pay me to do, is to coach the players and ensure that their technical, tactical ability is up there. But it's more of the kind of psychological bit there, and the whole picture. It's like Rangers, as I said, it's a big club, different pressures at different times. We were big on building relationships and strong relationships when we first come in, and that process has stood us in good stead for where we're at just now, that we can have conversations that will help them in the future.
As a consequence of that result, the title is now out of Rangers' hands for the only time this season. And given Glasgow City have won 13 of the 14 games, a difficult position for a Rangers head coach to be in. But do you need Celtic to win on Wednesday night?
I'm not gonna look too much on other results. We can only focus on what we're about. So right now, our psyche is that we've got 7 games to play. We've got 21 points to collect, and then it'll be written in the stars. Whatever's there. All we can do at Rangers is fix, and that's on me. Fix why we lost the games that we've lost. Is there anything that we could have done better in terms of our planning, our preparation, and the selection process also? So really and truly, the focus for us now is just the 21 points, 7 games, and probably no different to going back to game by game, 3 points, because that's what wins you titles. As you can see that Glasgow City have done, they've gained the points.